She grabbed his tie and kissed him, hard, desperate, in front of 500 people. Ryan Cooper had been arranging champagne flutes 10 seconds ago. Now a woman in a $10,000 dress had her hands in his hair and her lips on his, and the entire hotel lobby had gone silent. When she finally pulled back, her mascara was running. "I'm so sorry," she whispered, still gripping his jacket. "But I need you to be my husband, right now, just for today. Please. He's here, and if he sees me alone, I'll lose everything." Her hands were shaking, so were his. "Who's here?" Ryan asked. "The man who wants to destroy me." If this story moves you, hit that subscribe button and stay until the end. Drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from. I want to see how far this story travels across the world. Ryan had learned 3 years ago that life could end in the middle of a sentence. Emma had been pouring orange juice laughing about something their daughter Mia had said, and then she'd stopped mid-word. The glass shattered. She hit the floor. By the time the ambulance came, she was already gone. Brain aneurysm. Instantaneous. No warning. No goodbye. That was the day Ryan stopped believing in permanence, in plans, in anything beyond the next breath, the next moment, the next shift at whatever job would pay the bills. Tonight's shift was at the Celestial Hotel, coordinating the New Year's Eve gala for Chicago's wealthiest elite. He'd been hired 2 months ago after his previous job assistant manager at a corporate office had been eliminated in budget cuts. The hotel paid less, but the tips were good, and Mr. Chen in HR had looked the other way when Ryan admitted he'd need occasional flexibility for Mia's school events. He was adjusting the champagne table when he felt someone's eyes on him. Not the casual glance of a guest needing assistance. This was different. Focused. Desperate. Ryan turned and saw her. The woman in the emerald dress. He'd noticed her the moment she'd arrived, though he'd trained himself not to notice guests. She moved through the lobby like someone who owned it, head high, shoulders back, every step purposeful. Her dark hair was twisted into something elegant that probably had a French name he wouldn't know. The dress looked like it cost more than his car. But it was her eyes that caught him. Empty eyes. The kind Ryan recognized because he saw them in his own mirror every morning. The eyes of someone holding themselves together through sheer force of will. She was staring at him now with an expression he couldn't read. Terror. Calculation. Apology. Then she moved. Fast. She crossed the lobby in 6 strides, grabbed his tie with both hands, and kissed him. The world stopped. Ryan's brain short-circuited. His hands came up automatically to push her away to steady her. He didn't know which, and then he realized she was trembling. Violent tremors running through her entire body. Not passion. Fear. Around them, conversation died. Glasses paused halfway to lips. A string quartet faltered mid-note. When she pulled back, her lipstick was smeared and tears were tracking through her makeup. "I'm so sorry," she whispered, but her hands were still gripping his jacket. "But I need you to be my husband. Right now. Just for today. Please. He's here, and if he sees me alone, I'll lose everything." Ryan's voice came out hoarse. "Who's here?" "The man who wants to destroy me." A commotion erupted near the entrance. Security was blocking someone. A man in an expensive suit arguing loudly about being on the guest list. The woman's grip on Ryan's jacket tightened. "That's him. Damian Cross. If he gets near me, if he talks to the Wellington executives, I'm finished." "I don't understand." "You don't have to." Her voice cracked. "I just need you to stand next to me for the next hour. Let him see that I'm not alone, that I'm not weak. Please." Ryan should have said no. Should have called his supervisor. Should have extracted himself from whatever corporate drama this was. But he'd seen that look before. That exact expression. Emma had worn it in the hospital when the doctors said there was nothing more they could do. The look of someone watching their entire world collapse, and knowing there was no way to stop it. 1 hour, Ryan heard himself say. Relief flooded her face. "Thank you. God, thank you." She released his jacket, smoothed it down with shaking hands. Up close, Ryan could see she was younger than he'd thought. Maybe mid-30s. There was a small scar above her left eyebrow, nearly hidden by makeup. Her perfume smelled like jasmine and desperation. "What's your name?" she asked. Ryan Cooper." "Victoria Langford." She straightened her spine, and just like that, the terror vanished from her face, replaced by something cold and controlled. "I'm CEO of Langford Pharmaceuticals. That man trying to get in is my former business partner. 6 months ago, I discovered he was committing insider trading and reported him. He was arrested, posted bail, and has spent the last 6 months systematically destroying every business relationship I have. And tonight I'm supposed to finalize a merger with Wellington Industries. $3 billion. It saves my company and 5,000 jobs." Her jaw tightened. But Patricia Wellington only does business with people she trusts. People who are stable. If Damien gets to her, if he tells her I'm unstable, if she sees me rattled, she'll walk. And everything I've built dies. Ryan glanced at the entrance. Security was still holding Damien back, but the man was scanning the crowd, clearly looking for Victoria. "So, you need a husband?" "I need to look unshakable." Victoria met his eyes. "I need Patricia Wellington to see me with someone who makes me look human, happy, in love, not the ice queen who's about to crack under pressure. And you chose me because 2 weeks ago you held the elevator door for me without being asked. You didn't try to make conversation or pitch me a business idea or stare at my chest. You just stood there quietly, then nodded and got off at your floor." Her voice softened. "You treated me like a person, not a target." Ryan remembered that moment. He'd been running late, worried about getting back to relieve his neighbor who was watching Mia. He'd barely registered the woman in the elevator. "I have a daughter," Ryan said. "She's 7. If I lose this job, you won't." Victoria pulled something from her clutch. A business card and a pen. She wrote a number on the back. "This is my personal number. When this is over, call me. I'll make sure you're compensated for your time. I don't want money." "Everyone wants money, Mr. Cooper. You're working New Year's Eve instead of being home with your daughter. You want money." She pressed the card into his palm. "1 hour. That's all I'm asking. Then you can go back to your life and forget you ever met me." Ryan looked at the card, then at Victoria, then at Damien Cross, who had finally convinced security he was legitimate and was now pushing through the doors. "What do I need to do?" Victoria's shoulders relaxed. "Just stand beside me. Hold my hand. Let me introduce you as my husband. Can you do that?" Ryan thought about Mia waiting at home with Mrs. Chen from 4B. About the medical bills from Emma's final hospitalization that still arrived monthly, marked past due in red. About the fact that he was 1 car repair away from financial disaster. 1 hour, he agreed. Victoria took his arm. Her touch was light, but her fingers dug in slightly, like someone gripping a life raft. "Thank you. You have no idea what this means." They turned to face the lobby together. Damien Cross was moving through the crowd, now his eyes locking onto Victoria. His expression shifted from search to discovery to something darker. "Smile," Victoria murmured. "Like you're happy to see me." Ryan smiled. It felt false, stretched too tight, but Victoria's grip on his arm relaxed fractionally. Damien reached them. Up close, he was older than Ryan expected, maybe 45, with silver threading through dark hair. His suit probably cost more than Ryan's yearly salary. He wore success like armor, and his eyes were cold. "Victoria," Damien said smoothly. "I didn't expect to see you here." "Damien?" Victoria's voice was ice. "I could say the same. Wellington Industries invited me personally." Damien's smile didn't reach his eyes. Patricia likes to hear all sides before making important decisions. "How fortunate for you." Damien's gaze slid to Ryan. "And who's this?" Ryan extended his hand before Victoria could speak. "Ryan Cooper, Victoria's husband." The word landed like a bomb. Damien's smile froze. Husband. That's right. Ryan kept his voice steady. We've been married about 6 months now. 6 months? Damien repeated it slowly, like tasting something bitter. How interesting that no one knew about this. We kept it private, Victoria said. Her hand slipped into Ryan's fingers, interlacing. Not everyone needs to broadcast their personal life. How very unlike you, Victoria. You've never been one for privacy. Damien's eyes narrowed. In fact, I don't recall you dating anyone seriously, ever. You were always too busy building your empire. People change, Ryan said quietly. When they meet the right person. Do they? Damien studied Ryan with open contempt. And what do you do? Mr. Cooper, I assume you're in pharmaceuticals, technology finance? I work here, at the hotel. Silence. Then Damien laughed, actually laughed loud enough that nearby guests turned to look. She married the help, Damien said, genuine mirth in his voice. Victoria Langford, who wouldn't date anyone beneath CEO level, married a hotel employee. He turned to Victoria. Is this some kind of social experiment, research for a diversity initiative? Ryan felt Victoria stiffen beside him, but he spoke before she could. I coordinate events. Before this, I managed operations for a corporate consulting firm. I have a degree in business administration and 7 years of management experience. He met Damien's eyes. But I'm not ashamed of honest work. Are you? The laughter died. Damien's expression hardened. Careful, Mr. Cooper. You're out of your depth here. Maybe, but I know when someone's being deliberately cruel, and that doesn't require a PhD. Ryan. Victoria's voice was warning, but she was squeezing his hand, not letting go. A new voice cut through the tension. Victoria. There you are. An elegant woman in her 60s approached. Silver hair cut in a sharp bob, wearing a navy suit that radiated quiet power. 2 men in matching suits flanked her, one older, one younger, both watching the exchange with interest. Patricia. Victoria's entire demeanor changed. Warmer. Genuine. Thank you so much for coming. Patricia Wellington smiled, but her eyes were sharp. She'd seen the confrontation, heard at least some of it. I hope we're not interrupting, Patricia said carefully. Not at all. Victoria pulled Ryan closer. Patricia Wellington, I'd like you to meet my husband, Ryan Cooper. Ryan shook Patricia's hand, acutely aware that this woman held Victoria's future in her palm. It's an honor to meet you, Mrs. Wellington. Victoria speaks very highly of your company. Does she? Patricia's expression was unreadable. And how long have you two been married? 6 months, Ryan said, because Victoria had already established the timeline. We kept it quiet. Victoria wanted to keep her personal and professional lives separate. Wise. Patricia's gaze moved between them, assessing. Though I admit I'm surprised. When we met last month, Victoria, you made no mention of a husband. I apologize for that. Victoria's voice was steady, but Ryan could feel her pulse racing through her palm. I've learned the hard way that some people try to use personal relationships against you in business. I wanted our merger discussions to stand on their own merits. And yet your former partner knew to look for you here tonight. Patricia glanced at Damien. Mr. Cross, isn't it? I believe we met briefly at the investor conference in Boston. We did. Damien recovered his composure. Mrs. Wellington, I hope you'll give me a few minutes this evening. There are some concerns about Langford Pharmaceuticals' stability that you should be aware of before finalizing any agreements. Concerns, Patricia repeated flatly. Financial irregularities, questions about clinical trial data, issues that could expose your company to significant liability. Victoria's hand gripped Ryan's so hard it hurt. None of which are true. Damien is facing criminal charges for insider trading. This is retaliation. Is it? Damien's smile was poisonous. Or am I trying to save Wellington Industries from a catastrophic mistake, Mrs. Wellington? Did you know that 3 of Victoria's top researchers resigned last month? That 2 major clinical trials have been delayed? That Langford stock has dropped 15% in the last quarter? Because you've been spreading lies to investors, Victoria shot back. You've been sabotaging. I've been telling the truth. Damien turned to Patricia. Ask yourself why Victoria suddenly has a husband no one knew about. Why she's so desperate to appear stable. What's she really hiding? The 2 men flanking Patricia, her executives Ryan realized were watching Victoria with undisguised concern. The doubt was setting in. Ryan could see it happening. Patricia's expression was cooling. Perhaps we should postpone. Those researchers resigned because Damien threatened their families, Ryan said. Everyone turned to him. Ryan hadn't planned to speak, hadn't planned any of this, but he recognized that look on Patricia's face. The look of someone about to make a decision they'd regret. The same look the hospital administrator had worn when telling Ryan that Emma's insurance wouldn't cover her final treatments. I'm sorry, Patricia said. The researchers who left. Ryan's voice was steady. They didn't resign. They were harassed, threatened. Their personal information was leaked online. One had her car vandalized. Another received death threats. That's an outrageous accusation, Damien started. Is it? Ryan turned to him. Because Victoria told me everything. About how you've been following her. Showing up at her office. Calling her at 2 a.m. About how you told her she'd regret ever crossing you. He looked back at Patricia. This isn't about business concerns. This is about revenge. Silence. Patricia studied Ryan with new intensity. And you have proof of this. Victoria does. Police reports. Restraining order applications. Security footage. Ryan had no idea if any of that was true, but Victoria was nodding. She didn't mention it because she didn't want to seem weak. Didn't want people to know she'd been scared. But I told her that asking for help isn't weakness, it's strength. Victoria's eyes were wide, staring at him. He couldn't tell if she was grateful or horrified. Patricia was quiet for a long moment. Then she turned to Damien. Mr. Cross, I think it's best if you leave. Mrs. Wellington, now please. Damien's face flushed dark red. You're making a mistake. She's lying. He's lying. This whole marriage is probably fake. Security, Patricia called calmly. 2 guards materialized instantly. Damien looked between them, then at Victoria, then at Ryan. Pure hatred burned in his eyes. This isn't over, Damien said quietly. Not even close. The guards escorted him toward the exit. Damien didn't resist, but he looked back once his expression promising violence. When he was gone, Patricia turned back to Victoria and Ryan. Well, that was eventful. I apologize, Victoria said immediately. I should have told you about the harassment. I just didn't want me to see you as a victim. Patricia nodded. I understand, but Mr. Cooper is right. There's no shame in having enemies when you've done the right thing. She glanced at Ryan. You're quite protective of your wife. Someone has to be, Ryan said. She's terrible at protecting herself. Victoria made a sound that might have been a laugh or a sob. Patricia smiled. Come, let's discuss this merger properly. I'd like to hear your vision for the partnership, Victoria. And Mr. Cooper, I'd love to know how you two met. It's clearly an interesting story. They followed Patricia toward the private dining room. Victoria's hand was still locked with Ryan's, and as they walked, she leaned in close. Thank you, she whispered, for what you said about the threats. I do have documentation, some of it, but I didn't think anyone would believe me. Did he really threaten you at 2 a.m.? 2:17 a.m. last Tuesday. Blocked number, but I recognized his voice. Jesus, Victoria. I know it's bad. But what else could I do if I'd told anyone I'd look weak? If I'd filed formal charges, it would have been in the news. Damien would have spun it as me trying to silence whistleblowers. I couldn't win. So you kissed a stranger instead. Victoria laughed, slightly hysterical. It seemed like the better option at the time. They reached the dining room. Patricia was waiting at the door, her expression expectant. Ready, Ryan murmured. No, Victoria admitted. But let's do it anyway. They stepped into the room together. The dinner lasted 2 hours. 2 hours of Victoria talking about pharmaceutical development, regulatory frameworks, and market penetration strategies that went completely over Ryan's head. 2 hours of Patricia Wellington and her executives asking sharp questions about clinical trials, profit margins, and manufacturing capacity. Ryan sat beside Victoria, his hand resting on the table where she could reach it, which she did repeatedly every time someone asked a particularly difficult question. Her fingers would find his squeeze once, then release. A silent request for strength. He gave it. Somewhere around the 90-minute mark, Patricia's younger executive Daniel Ryan had asked about Langford's recent research setbacks. 3 failed trials in 6 months. Daniel said, not unkindly. That's a significant concern. How can we be confident in your pipeline when such a large percentage of your research isn't producing results? Victoria's hand found Ryan's under the table, gripped tight. Those weren't failures, Victoria said carefully. They were ethically appropriate terminations. In each case, we discovered that the drug wasn't performing as well as our initial tests suggested. We could have continued, the FDA wouldn't have stopped us, but we chose to halt the trials rather than waste participants' time or give false hope. That's admirable, Patricia said, but it's also expensive. How do you justify that cost to shareholders? I don't. Victoria's voice was steady. I justify it to the patients, to the families who trust us to be honest with them. My mother died of a rare disease when I was 16. She spent her last 2 years in clinical trials for drugs that the manufacturers knew weren't working, but they kept the trials going to justify their research budgets. I watched her hope die a little more with each failed treatment. Victoria's grip on Ryan's hand was crushing now. I started Langford Pharmaceuticals because I never wanted another family to go through that. So yes, we stop trials when they're not working. Yes, it costs us money, but it's the right thing to do. Silence filled the room. Patricia exchanged glances with her executives. Daniel was nodding slowly. The older executive, Margaret, was smiling. I wish more CEOs thought like that, Patricia said quietly. Most people talk about ethics until it impacts their bottom line. Victoria's bottom line is different, Ryan heard himself say. Everyone turned to him. Sorry, I just mean she measures success differently. She counts it in lives improved, not just profits earned. And you know this how? Daniel asked, not hostile, just curious. Because she tells me. Every night. Ryan met Victoria's eyes. She comes home and talks about the patients. The 5-year-old in Cleveland who finally got a medication that controls her seizures. The grandfather in Texas who can walk again. The teenager in California who doesn't have to drop out of school because her symptoms are manageable now. He looked back at Patricia. That's who my wife is. Someone who remembers that behind every profit report, there are human beings whose lives depend on her getting it right. Victoria was staring at him. Her eyes were shining. Patricia leaned back in her chair. You two really love each other. It wasn't a question. Ryan should have said yes immediately, should have maintained the fiction. But something in Patricia's tone, a kind of wistful sadness, made him pause. I respect her, Ryan said carefully. I respect her integrity, her strength, the way she fights for what matters. He squeezed Victoria's hand. Love grows from respect. I think we're building something real. Building, Patricia repeated and smiled. I like that. Too many people think love is something that just happens. But the best relationships are built, deliberately, with work and commitment and choosing each other every day. She stood. I've heard enough. The merger is approved. My lawyers will draw up the contracts. We'll announce the partnership next week. Victoria's breath caught. You're serious. I don't joke about $3 billion. Patricia walked around the table extending her hand. Welcome to the Wellington family, Victoria. They shook hands. Victoria was trying not to cry. Patricia turned to Ryan. And you, Mr. Cooper, take care of her. She needs someone who reminds her that she's human. I will, Ryan promised. After Patricia and her executives left, Victoria stood frozen, staring at the empty doorway. I did it, she whispered. I actually did it. You did it, Ryan agreed. The merger's yours. Victoria turned to him. Tears were streaming down her face now, mascara running, lipstick gone, all the polished armor falling away. I couldn't have done this without you. What you said about the patience, about building love. I meant it. All of it. But you don't even know me. I know that you spent 6 months being terrorized and didn't tell anyone because you were afraid of looking weak. I know that you stop clinical trials when they're not working, even though it costs you money. I know that you measure your success in lives saved. Ryan brushed a tear from her cheek. That's enough to know. Victoria launched herself at him, wrapped her arms around his neck, and held on like she was drowning. Ryan caught her, steadied her, let her cry against his shoulder. Thank you, she sobbed. Thank you, thank you, thank you. They stood like that for a long time, until Victoria's tears slowed, until her breathing evened out, until the weight of 6 months of terror finally lifted from her shoulders. When she pulled back, she was smiling. A real smile. The first one Ryan had seen. I should pay you, Victoria said, fishing for her clutch. I promised. Don't. Ryan, I said I'd compensate you. You don't owe me anything. I was just doing what anyone would do. No. Victoria shook her head. Most people would have walked away, would have told me I was crazy, would have called security on the hysterical woman attacking them. She pulled out her phone. Give me your number, please. Let me at least buy you dinner. Say thank you properly. Ryan hesitated. He should leave, should go back to his life, should forget this ever happened. But looking at Victoria, really looking at her, seeing past the expensive dress and perfect makeup to the exhausted, relieved, grateful woman underneath, Ryan found he didn't want to forget. Dinner, he agreed. But you're not paying. We'll split it. Victoria laughed. I just secured a $3 billion merger. I think I can afford dinner. I'm sure you can. But if we're building something real like I told Patricia, then we build it as equals. Victoria's smile softened. Equals, I like that. She took his phone, entered her number, sent herself a text. There, now we can find each other again. Again, Ryan repeated. So this wasn't just 1 hour. Was it? I lost track of time. Ryan checked his watch, and his stomach dropped. Oh God, it's been 3 hours. My neighbor was only supposed to watch Mia until midnight. It's almost 1 a.m. Mia's your daughter. Yeah, 7 years old. She's probably asleep, but Mrs. Chen is going to be furious. Go. Victoria pushed him gently toward the door. Go home to your daughter. Tell Mrs. Chen I'm sorry. Tell her it's my fault. Victoria. Go, Ryan. We'll talk tomorrow. Ryan ran. Through the lobby, past the champagne tables, out the service entrance to the employee parking lot. His car, a beat-up Honda with 180,000 miles, took 3 tries to start. He drove home, breaking at least 4 traffic laws, his mind spinning. What had he just done? He'd pretended to be married to a billionaire CEO. He'd lied to one of the most powerful businesswomen in Chicago. He'd stood up to a man who looked like he could destroy Ryan with a phone call. And he'd agreed to dinner. Ryan pulled into his apartment complex and killed the engine. Sat there in the dark, trying to process. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Thank you for everything. Tonight changed my life. I hope I didn't ruin yours. V. Ryan stared at the message for a long moment. Then he typed back. You didn't ruin anything. Sleep well. R. He climbed the stairs to his third-floor apartment. Mrs. Chen answered before he could knock her expression somewhere between concerned and annoyed. "Sorry," Ryan said immediately. "Work emergency. Is Mia okay?" "Asleep on couch. No problem." Mrs. Chen studied him. "You look different." "Different how?" "Less sad." She patted his arm. "Good. You too young to be so sad all the time." After Mrs. Chen left, Ryan found Mia curled up on their worn couch clutching her stuffed rabbit. She'd fallen asleep watching a Disney movie, the credits rolling silently. Ryan carried her to bed, tucked her in, kissed her forehead. "Love you, baby," he whispered. Mia stirred. "Daddy, I'm here." "Did you have a good night at work?" Ryan thought about Victoria, about the kiss, about the lies and the truth and the strange, impossible connection he'd felt to a woman he'd just met. "Yeah," he said softly. "I think I did." "Good." Mia's eyes closed. "You deserve good nights." Ryan sat on the edge of her bed until her breathing evened out. Then he went to the kitchen, poured himself a glass of water, and pulled out his phone. Victoria's text was still on the screen. "Tonight changed my life." Ryan wondered if it had changed his too. He wondered if 1 hour, one impossible, desperate, beautiful hour, could really be enough to change everything. His phone buzzed again. "Forgot to say the dress code is casual. I'm tired of pretending to be perfect." V. Ryan smiled. "Casual I can do." R. He set the phone down and looked around his small apartment. At the second-hand furniture and toys scattered on the floor. At the photos of Emma on the walls frozen in moments Ryan couldn't return to. For 3 years, he'd been living in a paused world, going through the motions, surviving but not living. Tonight, for 1 hour, he'd felt alive again. He didn't know what that meant, didn't know where this was going. But standing in his quiet kitchen at 1:30 a.m., Ryan made a decision. He was going to find out. The text came at 6:47 a.m. Ryan was making Mia's breakfast, scrambled eggs and toast, same as every morning when his phone buzzed on the counter. "Are you free for coffee? I know it's early. I haven't slept. Can't stop thinking about last night." V. Ryan stared at the message. His hands were shaking slightly. "Daddy, the eggs are burning," Mia said from the table. He grabbed the pan, rescued the eggs, dumped them onto plates. His brain was somewhere else entirely. "Give me an hour. Mia has school at 8:30. R. The reply came instantly. "I'll pick you up. Send me your address." "Who are you texting?" Mia asked around a mouthful of toast. "Someone from work." At 7 in the morning. Ryan looked at his daughter. She had Emma's eyes, curious, intelligent, missing nothing. Sometimes it terrified him how much she saw. "It's complicated," he said. "That's what adults say when they don't want to explain." "You're 7. "So, I understand complicated. Mrs. Rodriguez says I'm reading at a 5th grade level." Ryan sat across from her. "A woman I met last night needs help with something. I'm going to have coffee with her to talk about it." "What kind of help?" "Business help." Mia's eyes narrowed. "You're being weird." "I'm not. You are. You're doing that thing where you smile but your eyes are scared. You did that when Mommy was sick." The toast turned to sawdust in Ryan's mouth. "I'm not scared." "Then what are you?" Ryan didn't have an answer. After dropping Mia at school, where she hugged him extra long and whispered, "Be careful, Daddy," Ryan walked back to his apartment and found a black Mercedes idling at the curb. Victoria was in the driver's seat wearing jeans and a white sweater. No makeup, hair loose around her shoulders. She looked 10 years younger and completely exhausted. Ryan climbed in. "You drove yourself?" he asked. "I have a driver, but I told him I needed space this morning." She pulled away from the curb. "I haven't driven myself anywhere in 2 years. Forgot how much I missed it." They drove in silence for 3 blocks. Ryan watched the city pass, familiar streets, familiar buildings, everything exactly as it had been yesterday. Except nothing felt the same. There's a problem, Victoria said finally. Ryan's stomach dropped. What kind of problem? Patricia Wellington wants to have dinner, with both of us, tomorrow night. Okay. She wants to get to know us better, as a couple. She's bringing her husband and her daughter. Victoria's knuckles were white on the steering wheel. She specifically said she wants to see how we interact in a more intimate setting, that her daughter Claire is about to get engaged, and Patricia values marriage advice from couples who've managed to balance love and career. Jesus. It gets worse. She invited us to her home, in Lake Forest, for a 4-hour dinner, with wine and conversation and probably baby pictures. Ryan processed this. So 1 hour turned into an entire evening of pretending we're madly in love. Victoria pulled into a coffee shop parking lot, killed the engine. I'm so sorry. I know this wasn't the deal. I know you have a life and a daughter and probably think I'm completely insane. Stop. She stopped. Ryan turned to face her. Are you safe from Damien? What? You said he threatened you. Called you at 2 a.m. Is he going to hurt you? Victoria's eyes widened. I know. Probably not. He's more interested in destroying my reputation than physical violence. Probably 90% sure. That's not remotely reassuring. I know. Victoria slumped in her seat. I should have filed a restraining order months ago. I should have gone to the police. I should have done 100 things differently. But I was scared and stupid and I thought I could handle it alone. You can't handle it alone. I know that now. She looked at him. That's why I need your help. One more time. I know I'm asking too much. I know you don't owe me anything. How much? Victoria blinked. What? How much are you offering? Something flickered across her face. Disappointment, maybe, or hurt. 50,000, same as before. For one dinner. For pretending you love me for one dinner. Her voice was flat. For sitting through 4 hours of questions about our relationship and how we met, and what our favorite memories are. For lying to good people who deserve better. Ryan watched her. Really watched her. The exhaustion carved into her face. The tremor in her hands. The way she held herself together through sheer force of will. What if we didn't lie? He asked. I'm sorry. What if we told them the truth that we met last night, that you needed help, that I said yes? Ryan leaned forward. What if we told them we're figuring this out as we go? Victoria shook her head. Patricia wouldn't understand. She'd think I'm manipulating her. Would she? Or would she respect that you're human enough to ask for help when you need it? I can't risk it. Then teach me. Teach you what? How to be convincing. How to be your husband for real. Ryan pulled out his phone, opened his calendar. I have tomorrow off. Mia's at school until 3. We have time. Victoria stared at him. Why are you doing this? Because you need help, and I can give it. That's not a reason. That's not enough of a reason. Nobody helps someone like this without wanting something. Ryan thought about Emma. About the last night in the hospital when she'd gripped his hand and made him promise he'd keep living. Not just surviving. Living. Maybe I want to feel useful again, he said quietly. Maybe I'm tired of being invisible. Maybe you're not the only one who needs to remember they're human. Victoria's eyes filled with tears. You don't know me. Then let me. They went inside the coffee shop, ordered drinks, sat at a corner table where no one would overhear. We need a story, Victoria said, pulling out her phone. A real one, with details. Patricia will ask questions. Okay. Where did we meet? Here, this coffee shop. Victoria looked around. 4 months ago. I was working on my laptop. You were getting coffee before your shift. We reached for the same table. And you let me have it. But you left your business card. Said if I ever needed event planning for my company, you had ideas. Ryan smiled. That's actually clever. I'm good at thinking on my feet. Victoria typed notes. I called you 3 days later, asked you to help plan a charity gala for Langford. We spent 6 weeks working together. Fell in love somewhere between the menu selection and the seating chart. When did you propose? You proposed. I did. At Navy Pier, at sunset. You got down on one knee and the tourists applauded. Victoria's voice softened. You said you'd never expected to fall in love again, but I made you believe in second chances. Ryan's chest tightened. That's specific. It's believable. Patricia likes romance. She married her high school sweetheart. She'll eat this up. What about Mia? Victoria's pen stopped. What about her? Does Patricia know I have a daughter? I mentioned you had a child. I didn't give details. She's 7. Her name's Mia. Her mother died 3 years ago from a brain aneurysm. Ryan met Victoria's eyes. If we're doing this, Patricia needs to know the truth about that. I won't lie about Emma. Of course not. I wouldn't ask you to. And Mia can't know. About the pretending. Ryan. She can't. She's already lost one parent. I won't confuse her by bringing someone into her life who's going to disappear. Victoria set down her phone. What if I don't disappear? What? What if this becomes real? What if we actually... Don't. Ryan's voice came out harder than he meant. Don't talk like that. We're helping each other. That's all this is. Right, of course. Victoria picked up her coffee, took a sip. Her hands were shaking. I'm sorry, that was inappropriate. They sat in uncomfortable silence. Ryan felt like an asshole, but he'd meant what he said. Mia had been through enough. He couldn't risk her getting attached to someone who was only temporary, even if part of him wanted Victoria to be permanent. Tell me about your company, Ryan said, changing the subject. What does Langford Pharmaceuticals actually do? Victoria relaxed slightly. This was safer ground. We develop medications for rare diseases, conditions that affect fewer than 200,000 people in the U.S. Most pharmaceutical companies won't touch them because there's no money in it. But I watched my mother die from a disease so rare that no one would fund research. Her voice tightened. So I fund it. We've developed 17 medications in 8 years, saved approximately 40,000 lives. That's incredible. It's expensive and risky, and half my board thinks I'm insane. Victoria smiled grimly. But it's why I do this. It's why I fight Damien. Because if I lose the company, those 40,000 people lose their medications, and the next 40,000 never get treatment at all. Ryan understood then. Really understood. This wasn't about money or pride or winning some corporate battle. This was about survival. For thousands of people who had no other options. I'm in, he said. What? The dinner. Tomorrow night. I'm in. For real. Ryan leaned forward. But we do this right. We practice. We get our story straight. And if Patricia asks questions we're not ready for, we tell her we're still figuring it out. No lies, just carefully curated truth. Exactly. Victoria's phone rang. She glanced at the screen and her face went white. What is it? She held up the phone so he could see. The caller ID said Damien Cross. Don't answer, Ryan said immediately. If I don't, he'll just show up somewhere. He always does. Victoria answered, put it on speaker. What do you want, Damien? Damien's voice was smooth. Too smooth. I wanted to congratulate you on your engagement, or marriage, whichever lie you're telling this week. I'm hanging up. Did you really think I wouldn't find out I know everything about your little hotel worker, Ryan Cooper, widower, father of 1, 3 jobs, drowning in medical debt from his dead wife's cancer treatments? Damien laughed. You picked a desperate man. Smart. Desperate men are easy to control. Ryan grabbed the phone. Keep talking about my wife like that, and we'll have a problem. Excuse me. You heard me. Victoria is my wife. And if you come near her again, if you call her, if you even think about harassing her, I will make it my personal mission to destroy you. Silence. Then Damien laughed again. You have no idea who you're dealing with. Neither do you. Ryan hung up. Victoria was staring at him. That was either very brave or very stupid. Probably both. Ryan's hands were shaking now. He knows about Emma's medical bills. He knows everything. That's what he does. He finds people's weaknesses and exploits them. Then we need to be ready. Ryan stood. Come on. Where are we going? To get our story perfect. Because tomorrow night, we're going to convince Patricia Wellington that we're the real thing. And we're going to make Damien Cross regret ever threatening you. They spent the rest of the day preparing. Victoria canceled all her meetings. Ryan called in sick to his afternoon shift. They sat in Victoria's penthouse, which was exactly as cold and impersonal as Ryan expected and rehearsed. First kiss, Victoria prompted. When was it? The Navy Pier proposal. You said yes, and I kissed you while the tourists applauded. Wrong. The first kiss was 3 weeks before that, after a late-night planning session. You walked me to my car. It started raining. We stood under an awning and you just kissed you. Yes, it wasn't planned. It just happened. Victoria looked at him. Can you sell that? Can you make Patricia believe you kissed me spontaneously? Ryan looked at her. Really looked at her. At the way her hair fell over her shoulder. At the intelligence in her eyes. At the vulnerability she was trying so hard to hide. Yes, he said quietly. I can sell that. Something passed between them. Something dangerous. Victoria cleared her throat. Mia, tell me about her. So Ryan did. He told Victoria about Mia's love of science, about how she asked impossible questions, about how she still cried for Emma some nights but was getting better, about how she was the only reason he'd survived the last 3 years. Victoria listened without interrupting. When he finished, she was crying. I'm sorry, she said, wiping her eyes. I'm sorry you lost her. I'm sorry Mia lost her mother. I'm sorry life is so unfair. Thank you. Will you tell me about her, Emma? Ryan tensed. Why? Because if Patricia asks, I should know. And because... Victoria hesitated. Because she was important to you. She's still important to you. And if we're pretending to be married, I should understand that part of your life. So, Ryan told her. About meeting Emma in college, about how she'd laughed at his terrible jokes, about how she'd supported him through his father's death and his failed business ventures, about how she'd been the best mother Mia could have asked for. She sounds wonderful, Victoria said when he finished. She was. And you still love her. It wasn't a question. I'll always love her, Ryan said. That doesn't go away. I know. Victoria walked to the window. My father died when I was 18. Car accident. He was coming to pick me up from a party. I'd called him drunk, crying, fighting with my boyfriend. He left work early, drove too fast, and... She stopped. I killed him. No, you didn't. That's what everyone says, but I know the truth. She turned to face him. I've spent 14 years trying to make up for it. Building this company, saving lives. Like if I save enough people, maybe it'll balance out. Victoria. I'm telling you this because I need you to understand. I'm not good at relationships. I'm not good at letting people in. I've built my entire life around not needing anyone. Her voice cracked. But last night, when Damien was threatening me, when everything was falling apart, I needed you. And you showed up. And I don't know how to process that. Ryan crossed the room, stood in front of her. You process it by letting yourself need someone. Just for tomorrow night. Just for one dinner. You don't have to have all the answers right now. What if I get used to it, to having someone? Would that be so bad? Yes. Because eventually you'll leave. Everyone leaves. Ryan understood. Emma had left. Not by choice, but she'd left. And Mia was terrified every day that Ryan would leave too. I'm not going anywhere, he said. Not until this is over. Not until you're safe. That's not a promise you can keep. Then watch me keep it anyway. His phone buzzed. A text from Mrs. Chen. Mia sick. School called. Fever. Can you pick up? I have to go, Ryan said immediately. Is Mia okay? She has a fever. School wants me to get her. I'll drive you. Victoria, you don't have to. I know, but I want to. She grabbed her keys. Besides, if we're going to convince Patricia we're married, I should probably meet your daughter. Ryan's stomach flipped. Victoria, we won't tell her the truth. I'll just be your friend, someone you work with. That's not lying. That's absolutely lying. It's protecting her. There's a difference. They argued about it in the car, about whether Victoria should meet Mia, about what they'd tell her, about whether this was a terrible idea. By the time they reached the school, they still hadn't agreed. Mia was waiting in the nurse's office looking small and miserable. Her cheeks were flushed. Her eyes were glassy with fever. Daddy, she said, reaching for him. Ryan scooped her up. She was burning hot. Hey, baby, let's get you home. Who's that? Mia asked, looking past him to where Victoria stood in the doorway. This is Victoria. Ryan hesitated. I work with your dad, Victoria said, stepping forward. I gave him a ride. Hi, Mia. Your dad talks about you constantly. He does. All the time. Says you're the smartest 7-year-old in Chicago. Mia smiled weakly. He's biased. Maybe, but I believe him. They drove to Ryan's apartment. Mia dozed against Ryan's shoulder in the back seat, occasionally coughing. Victoria drove carefully, taking turns, slowly avoiding potholes. You're good with kids, Ryan said quietly. I'm really not. I'm just following your lead. That's the same thing. When they reached the apartment, Ryan carried Mia inside. Victoria followed, looking around at the small space with something like wonder. This is home, she asked. This is home. It's perfect. Ryan laughed. It's 1,000 square feet with paper-thin walls. It's lived in. It's loved. Victoria touched a crayon drawing taped to the fridge. This is what a home should look like. Ryan settled Mia on the couch, got her fever medicine, grabbed her favorite blanket. Victoria watched from the kitchen, her expression unreadable. Daddy, Mia said after swallowing the medicine. Yeah, baby. Is Victoria your girlfriend? Ryan froze. Victoria stepped forward. No, sweetheart. Your dad and I are just friends. But he's smiling at you. He doesn't smile at anyone except me. Ryan's heart clenched. Mia, it's okay if she's your girlfriend. Mommy would want you to be happy. Mia's eyes were closing. The fever medicine was kicking in. You should have someone who makes you smile. She fell asleep mid-sentence. Ryan and Victoria stood in silence. She's incredible, Victoria whispered. Yeah. She's also right. You should have someone who makes you smile. Ryan looked at her. Victoria, I know. We're pretending. This isn't real. She picked up her purse. I should go. Let you take care of her. Wait. Ryan caught her hand. Thank you. For driving me. For being kind to Mia. For everything. Victoria squeezed his hand. Tomorrow night. Patricia's house. 6 p.m. I'll be ready. We'll be ready. She left. Ryan sat next to Mia, watching her sleep, his mind spinning. What was he doing? Playing house with a billionaire, pretending to be married, bringing Victoria into Mia's life. This was going to end badly. He knew it would. These things always did. But looking at his phone at Victoria's last text. Thank you for letting me meet her. She's lucky to have you. Ryan couldn't quite bring himself to regret it. Mia's fever broke at 3 a.m. Ryan was dozing in the chair beside her bed when she sat up suddenly, calling for Emma. Mommy, I had a bad dream. Ryan's heart shattered. Again. It happened every few months, Mia forgetting even for just a second that Emma was gone. "It's me, baby. It's Daddy." Mia blinked, confused. Then memory crashed back and she started crying. Not the loud crying of a sick child, but the quiet, devastating crying of a kid who just remembered her mother was dead. Ryan held her until the tears stopped, until her breathing evened out, until she fell back asleep against his chest. His phone buzzed on the nightstand. A text from Victoria. "Can't sleep. Thinking about tomorrow. Terrified I'll mess this up." "How's Mia?" Ryan typed, one-handed, careful not to wake his daughter. "Fever broke. She's okay. You won't mess up." "How do you know?" "Because you care." That's already more than most people. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. "Thank you for letting me into your life, even temporarily." Ryan stared at that word. Temporarily. Right. Because that's what this was. Temporary help. Temporary pretending. Temporary everything. Except it didn't feel temporary anymore. He set the phone down without responding. The next day passed in a blur of preparation. Mia went to school still slightly feverish, but insisting she was fine. Ryan worked his morning shift at the hotel, avoiding questions about why he'd called in sick the day before. His supervisor gave him a knowing look that suggested office gossip had already spread about the mysterious woman in the Mercedes. At 4 p.m., Victoria texted, "Picking you up at 5:30. Dress nice, but not too nice. Patricia hates pretension. Define nice, but not too nice. Do you own a blazer?" Ryan looked at his closet. He owned exactly one blazer purchased for Emma's funeral 3 years ago. He hadn't worn it since. Yes, perfect. See you soon. Victoria arrived at 5:30 exactly. She was wearing a navy dress that was somehow both elegant and understated. Her hair was down, minimal makeup. She looked nervous. "You look beautiful," Ryan said, climbing into the car. Victoria's hands tightened on the wheel. Don't what? Don't be nice to me right now. I'm barely holding it together." "What happened?" "Damien sent flowers to my office, 24 black roses with a note that said, 'Congratulations on your wedding.'" My assistant opened the card in front of the entire executive team. Victoria's voice was shaking. "I had to explain why my ex-business partner was sending me wedding flowers when nobody knew I'd gotten married." "What did you tell them?" "That we'd kept it private for personal reasons. That Damien was harassing me. That they should ignore anything he says or sends." She pulled onto the highway. 3 board members cornered me after the meeting. Asked if I was stable enough to lead the company through the merger transition. Jesus, Victoria. I'm losing control. Of everything. The board doubts me. Patricia wants proof we're happily married. Damien is escalating. She wiped her eyes angrily. "And I dragged you into this mess. You and Mia. What kind of person does that? The kind who's trying to save 5,000 jobs and 40,000 patients. That's not an excuse. It's not an excuse. It's a reason." Ryan reached over, covered her hand with his. "We're doing this tonight, together, and it's going to work." "How can you be so sure?" "Because I've already lost everything once. I know what that looks like. This isn't it." Victoria pulled into a rest stop, killed the engine, and turned to face him. "I need to tell you something. Before we get there. Before we walk into Patricia's house and pretend to be in love." Ryan's stomach dropped. "Okay. Last night after I left your apartment after I met Mia, I went home and I cried for 2 hours. Her voice was raw. Not because I was stressed or scared. Because I realized what I was doing to you. To her. I'm using you. I'm paying you to lie. I'm bringing chaos into a little girl's life when she's already been through hell. Victoria, let me finish, please." She took a shaky breath. "I told myself this was just business. That you were helping me and I was compensating you fairly. But that's not true anymore. Because when I saw you with Mia, when I saw how you love her, how you've rebuilt your life from nothing." She stopped. "I don't want to lose that. I don't want to lose you. And that's not fair, because this was supposed to be temporary." Ryan's heart was pounding. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to separate the pretending from the real, and I don't know if I want to anymore." They stared at each other. Ryan should have said something reassuring, something safe, something that maintained the boundaries they'd established. Instead, he said, "I don't want to lose you either." Victoria's eyes widened. "Ryan? I know this is crazy. I know we've known each other for less than 48 hours. I know I have a daughter and a dead wife and enough baggage to sink a ship." He squeezed her hand. "But when I'm with you, I remember what it feels like to be alive, not just surviving, living." "That's not love. That's just—" "I didn't say it was love. I said I don't want to lose you." Ryan pulled back. "We should go. Patricia's waiting." They drove the rest of the way in loaded silence. Patricia Wellington's house was exactly what Ryan expected: sprawling, elegant, intimidating. Old money translated into architecture. A man answered the door. Tall, silver-haired, wearing casual clothes that probably cost more than Ryan's monthly rent. "You must be Ryan and Victoria. I'm James Wellington, Patricia's husband." He shook their hands warmly. Come in, come in. Patricia's been looking forward to this all day." They followed James inside. The house was warm, lived in despite its size. Family photos covered every surface. The kind of home that had been loved for generations. Patricia appeared from the kitchen, wiping her hands on a dish towel. She was wearing jeans and a sweater, completely different from the corporate warrior Ryan had met at the gala. "Victoria, Ryan, welcome." She hugged Victoria, then Ryan. "I hope you don't mind casual. We save the formal dinners for business. This is just family." "We don't mind at all," Victoria said, but Ryan could feel her trembling. A younger woman emerged from another room. Late 20s, Patricia's eyes, James's smile. "This is our daughter Claire," Patricia said, "and her fiancé should be here any minute." The doorbell rang. "That's probably him now," Claire said, moving to answer it. She opened the door. Damien Cross stood on the porch holding a bottle of wine and wearing a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Ryan felt Victoria freeze beside him. "Sorry I'm late," Damien said smoothly. "Traffic was murder." Claire kissed his cheek. "Everyone, this is Damien Cross, my fiancé." The world tilted. Patricia was watching Victoria's reaction with sharp eyes. James looked confused. Claire was beaming. Victoria's face had gone completely blank, the same expression she'd worn in the hotel lobby before she'd kissed Ryan. "I don't understand," Victoria said carefully. "You're engaged to Claire." "Surprise," Damien said, stepping inside. His eyes found Ryan. "Hello again, Ryan. Lovely to see you under more pleasant circumstances." "You two know each other?" Claire asked, delighted. "How wonderful small world." "Very small," Damien agreed. "Ryan and I met at the New Year's gala. He was working. I was a guest." The emphasis on working was deliberate, cruel. Patricia's expression had shifted from warm to calculating. "Damien, I didn't realize you knew Victoria and Ryan personally." "Oh, Victoria and I go way back. We were business partners for years." Damien set the wine on the entry table. "Until she decided my methods were too aggressive and reported me for alleged insider trading." "Alleged?" Victoria's voice was cold. "You were arrested." "Charges I'm confident will be dismissed. My lawyers are very good." Claire was looking between them, confused. "Wait, you two don't get along." "We have philosophical differences about business ethics," Victoria said tightly. "That's one way to put it," Damien replied. "Another way would be to say Victoria destroyed my career because I questioned her judgment." You were stealing from the company. Let's not do this here, Patricia interrupted firmly. Claire, darling, why don't you and Damien help me in the kitchen? James, perhaps you could show Ryan and Victoria the garden. It wasn't a suggestion. James led them through French doors onto a stone patio. The moment they were alone, Victoria grabbed Ryan's arm. We need to leave, right now. We can't, Ryan said. That'll look worse. He's engaged to Patricia's daughter. This whole thing, he planned this. He knew about the dinner. He knew. Victoria was hyperventilating. Oh God, he's been dating Claire to get close to Patricia, to sabotage the merger from the inside. James cleared his throat. Perhaps I should explain. They both turned to him. James looked tired. Damien and Claire have been dating for 3 months. She met him at a charity auction. He was charming, attentive, everything a father would want for his daughter. His jaw tightened. I had him investigated last week. Found out about the insider trading charges. Found out about his history with you, Victoria. Does Patricia know? Victoria asked. She knows. We both know. James met her eyes. We invited you here tonight to see how you'd react, to understand what kind of man Damien really is. You were testing us. Ryan couldn't keep the anger from his voice. We were protecting our daughter. James's voice softened. Claire is brilliant in many ways, but she's naive about people. She sees the best in everyone. Damien has convinced her that he's the victim, that Victoria ruined his life out of jealousy and ambition. None of that is true, Victoria said. I believe you. Patricia believes you. But Claire needs to see it for herself. James looked back toward the house. Which is why we need you to stay. Let Damien show his true colors. Let Claire see who he really is. You're asking us to perform, Ryan said slowly. To prove we're really married. To make Damien jealous or angry enough that he reveals himself. I'm asking you to be honest. About your relationship. About what happened at the gala. About why you married so quickly. James held Ryan's gaze. I'm asking you to trust that the truth will be enough. Victoria laughed bitterly. The truth is that I paid Ryan to pretend to be my husband. That we've known each other for 2 days. That this entire marriage is a strategic defense against a man who wants to destroy me. Is it? James asked. What? Is your marriage entirely strategic because the way Ryan looks at you, the way you hold his hand like a lifeline, that doesn't look strategic to me? Ryan and Victoria were silent. Come back inside, James said gently. Have dinner with us. Let whatever happens happen. They went back in. Dinner was excruciating. Patricia had arranged them around a long table, Patricia and James, at the heads Claire and Damien on one side, Ryan and Victoria on the other. Like opposing teams. The meal started civilly enough. Small talk about the weather, about Claire's job in marketing, about Patricia's upcoming trip to London. Then Damien struck. So, Ryan, he said, cutting his steak. Victoria mentioned you work at the hotel. What exactly do you do there? Event coordination. Right. And before that, I managed operations for a corporate consulting firm. Until they eliminated your position. Damien added helpfully. Must have been difficult, especially with a young daughter to support. Ryan's fork stopped halfway to his mouth. How do you know about my daughter? I do my research. Mia, isn't it? 7 years old. Attends public school. Excellent science scores. Damien smiled. I also know about your wife, Emma. Terrible what happened. Brain aneurysm, sudden death, catastrophic medical bills. He turned to Victoria. Did Ryan tell you he's still paying off her hospital debt? Almost $200,000 remaining. Victoria's face went pale. Claire gasped. Damien, that's incredibly rude. I'm just establishing context. Ryan was in serious financial trouble. Then suddenly he's married to one of the wealthiest women in Chicago. Damien's eyes glittered. Quite the turnaround. Are you suggesting I married Victoria for money? Ryan's voice was dangerously quiet. I'm not suggesting anything. I'm stating facts. Then let me state some facts. Ryan set down his fork. Yes, I have medical debt. Yes, I was fired. Yes, I'm working a job that pays less than I'm worth. But I married Victoria because she's the strongest, most brilliant, most infuriating person I've ever met, and she married me. Despite my debt, despite my baggage, despite the fact that loving me means dealing with a grieving 7-year-old and 3 jobs and a tiny apartment with paper-thin walls. Victoria was staring at him. Ryan kept going. You want to question my motives? Fine, question them. But don't you dare question hers. She could have married anyone, could have found someone without complications, someone who fit her world better, but she chose me, and I will spend the rest of my life trying to deserve that choice. Silence. Patricia was smiling. Damien's expression had darkened. Very touching. How long did you rehearse that speech? Damien, Claire said sharply. Stop it. I'm just pointing out inconsistencies. You're being cruel. Claire turned to Victoria. I'm so sorry. I don't know why he's acting like this. I do, Victoria said quietly. He's trying to make me look weak, make Ryan look opportunistic, plant doubt in your parents' minds about the merger. She met Damien's eyes. It's what he does. He finds people's vulnerabilities and exploits them. That's not, Claire started. It's exactly what he did at Langford. He found researchers who were struggling financially and offered them money to falsify data. When I discovered it, he tried to blame me, said I was incompetent, said I was the one committing fraud. Victoria's voice strengthened. He's doing the same thing now. To your family. To you, Claire. He's using your relationship to hurt your parents' business. To hurt me. That's a serious accusation, Damien said coldly. Then let's test it. Victoria pulled out her phone. I have documentation. 6 months of harassment. Threatening calls, vandalism, witnesses who will testify that you tried to intimidate them. She looked at Patricia. I didn't want to bring this up, didn't want to make your daughter's engagement about me. But I won't let him manipulate you the way he's manipulated everyone else. Victoria, please. Claire's voice was breaking. Damien loves me. He proposed. We're planning a wedding. When did he propose? Ryan asked suddenly. Everyone looked at him. When exactly did Damien propose to you? Ryan repeated. Claire blinked. 3 weeks ago. Why? 3 weeks ago was when Patricia first contacted Victoria about the merger, Ryan said, when the negotiations became serious. Damien stood abruptly. I'm not going to sit here and listen to conspiracy theories. Sit down, Patricia commanded. Damien sat. Patricia looked at her daughter. Claire, I need you to answer some questions honestly. When did Damien first ask about my business? He didn't. When, Claire? On our second date, but he was just making conversation. What did he ask about specifically? Claire was crying now. He asked about your partnerships, about Victoria Langford, about whether you trusted her. She looked at Damien. But you said you were just being protective, making sure my family wasn't being taken advantage of. I was protecting you, Damien said, but his voice had lost its smoothness. James pulled out his phone, started scrolling through something. Damien proposed on December 10th. Patricia contacted Victoria about the merger on December 8th. He looked up. That's not a coincidence. Of course it's not a coincidence, Damien snapped. I proposed because I love Claire. The timing is irrelevant. Show me your phone, Claire said suddenly. What? Your phone. Show me. Her voice was steel. If you have nothing to hide, show me your messages. That's an invasion of privacy. Show me your phone. Damien's mask finally cracked. You're really going to believe them over me after everything we've built together? We've built nothing. You've been using me. Claire stood. Get out. Claire. Get out of my parents' house. Get out of my life. We're done. Damien looked around the table. At Patricia's cold expression, at James's barely concealed anger, at Victoria's triumph, at Ryan's steady gaze. "You're all going to regret this," Damien said finally. "Especially you, Victoria. Especially you, Ryan. I will destroy everything you love." "Leave," Patricia said, "before I call the police." Damien left. The door slammed behind him. Claire collapsed into her chair, sobbing. Patricia moved to comfort her daughter. James poured everyone wine with shaking hands. Ryan and Victoria sat frozen. "I'm sorry," Victoria said finally. "I'm so sorry. I never wanted—" "Don't apologize," Patricia said firmly. "You did nothing wrong. Damien is the one who should be apologizing. To all of us." She held her crying daughter. "Thank you for being honest, for showing us who he really is." "What happens now?" Ryan asked. "Now we call our lawyers. Get a restraining order. Make sure he can't come near Claire or our family again." Patricia met Victoria's eyes. "And the merger proceeds as planned. I trust you, Victoria. Perhaps more now than before." "Thank you. But I do have one question." Patricia's expression softened. "Are you two really married, or was that part of stopping Damien too?" Ryan and Victoria looked at each other. This was the moment to come clean, to admit the truth. Victoria opened her mouth. "We're really married," Ryan said. Victoria's eyes widened. Ryan kept talking. "We got married quickly, too quickly probably, but it's real. What we have is real, even if we're still figuring out what that means." "Are you sure?" Patricia asked gently. "Because if you need help, if Damien has been pressuring you—" "He has been pressuring me," Victoria admitted. "For months, making my life hell. Ryan has been my safe place, my partner, the person who reminds me I'm human." She took Ryan's hand. "So yes, we're married. And no, it's not conventional. But it's ours." Patricia studied them for a long moment. Then she smiled. "Good, because I'd hate to have to find a new partner for the merger." They left an hour later, after Claire had stopped crying and James had walked them out with profound apologies and thanks. In the car, Ryan and Victoria sat in silence. "You lied," Victoria said finally. "I did. You told Patricia we're really married when we're not." "Are we not?" Victoria's head snapped toward him. "What? Are we not married?" Ryan turned in his seat. "We have a marriage license. We've been living this for 2 days. We've met each other's worlds. You've met my daughter. I've seen you vulnerable. We've protected each other." He paused. "At what point does pretending become real?" "Ryan, we barely know each other. I know you save lives. I know you cry when you're overwhelmed. I know you drink your coffee black and you're terrified of needing people." He moved closer. "I know that when I'm with you, I feel alive for the first time in 3 years. That's enough to know." "That's not love. That's trauma bonding." "Maybe it is. Maybe we're both so broken that we're clinging to the first person who understands." Ryan's voice dropped. "Or maybe it's real. Maybe two broken people can build something whole together." Victoria was crying. "I don't know how." "Neither do I. But we learn. Together." "What about Mia?" "Mia already likes you. She told me yesterday that I should have someone who makes me smile." Ryan brushed tears from Victoria's face. "You make me smile, Victoria." "This is insane. Completely. We'll probably crash and burn." "Probably." "Then why are you suggesting this?" Ryan leaned his forehead against hers. "Because for the first time since Emma died, I want to try. I want to risk my heart again. I want to believe that something good can come from all this pain." Victoria kissed him. Not desperate like in the hotel lobby. Not strategic like they'd planned. Just honest, real, terrifying. When they pulled apart, they were both shaking. "Okay," Victoria whispered. "Okay. Let's try. Let's make this real." She laughed through tears. "But we're doing this right. Dating, getting to know each other. No more lies." "No more lies," Ryan agreed. His phone rang. Mrs. Chen. "Ryan, you need to come home, now." His blood turned to ice. "What happened? Is Mia okay?" "She's fine, but there's a man here. He says he's your lawyer. He's trying to serve you with papers." "What papers?" "Child custody papers. He says someone filed a claim that you're an unfit parent." Ryan's hand clenched around the phone. "I'll be right there." He looked at Victoria. She'd heard every word. "Damien," she said. "He said he'd destroy everything I love." "Then we fight back." Victoria started the car. Together. They drove back to the city, in grim silence, both knowing that the real battle was just beginning. The man standing outside Ryan's apartment door looked exactly like what he was: expensive, rehearsed, and completely indifferent to the human cost of his job. "Ryan Cooper?" he asked, holding a manila envelope. "That's me?" "You've been served." He thrust the papers into Ryan's hands and walked away without another word. Mrs. Chen stood in the doorway, wringing her hands. "I tried to stop him. I told him you weren't home. But he said he'd wait, and Mia saw him. She asked why a strange man was asking about her daddy." Ryan's hands were shaking so badly he could barely open the envelope. Victoria took it from him, scanned the contents, and her face went white. "It's an emergency custody petition, filed by—" She stopped. "Who?" Ryan asked, though he already knew. "Marcus Reynolds, attorney representing an anonymous concerned party who believes Mia Cooper is in an unsafe living environment." "Anonymous," Ryan spat. "Damien's not even brave enough to use his own name." "Mrs." Chen was crying now. "Ryan, what's happening? What did you do?" "I married the wrong person's enemy." Victoria handed the papers back. "Can I come in? We need to figure out how to fight this." Ryan looked at Mrs. Chen. "Is Mia asleep?" "Yes, but she was asking questions. About the man. About why you're always gone now. About whether you're going away like her mommy did." Ryan's heart cracked. "I would never." "I know, but she's 7. She doesn't understand." Mrs. Chen touched his arm. "Whatever you're doing, whoever this woman is, Mia comes first. Always. She does. She always does." Mrs. Chen left. Ryan and Victoria stood in the hallway, the custody papers between them like an accusation. "You should go home," Ryan said quietly. "What? No. This is my problem. My daughter. I can't ask you to." "You're not asking. I'm choosing." Victoria grabbed his hand. "We're in this together. Remember? That's what we just decided." "That was before someone tried to take my daughter." "That was 5 minutes ago, Ryan. I don't change my mind that fast." They went inside. The apartment felt too small, suddenly too fragile. Like Damien's lawyers could kick down the door at any moment and drag Mia away. Ryan checked on his daughter. She was asleep, curled around her stuffed rabbit, completely unaware that someone was trying to destroy their family. When he came back, Victoria had spread the papers across the coffee table and was reading through them with a lawyer's precision. "This is garbage," she said. "Complete fabrication. They're claiming you work excessive hours, leaving Mia with inadequate supervision. That you've introduced her to an unstable romantic partner. That you're experiencing financial distress that impacts your ability to provide proper care. All of which is technically true. None of which makes you unfit." Victoria looked up. "But they have photographs." "What?" She held up pages stapled to the petition. Photos of Ryan leaving the hotel at 2 a.m. Photos of Victoria's car outside his apartment. Photos of Mia with Mrs. Chen. Photos of their electric bill marked past due. "How did they get these?" Ryan asked. "Damien hired investigators, probably the day after the gala." Victoria's jaw tightened. "He's been building a case against you from the beginning." To get to you. To get to me. She threw the papers down. God, Ryan, I'm so sorry. This is my fault, all of it. If I hadn't kissed you, if I hadn't dragged you into my mess. Stop. This is Damien's fault, not yours. But Mia's caught in the middle, which is why we're going to fight. Ryan sat beside her. What do we need to do? Victoria was quiet for a long moment. Then she pulled out her phone. I'm calling my lawyers, the best family law attorneys in Chicago. They'll handle this. I can't afford. I can. And before you argue, remember that I'm the reason you're in this position. Let me fix it. Ryan wanted to argue, wanted to maintain some shred of pride. But looking at those photographs, at the evidence Damien had compiled, he knew pride was a luxury he couldn't afford. Okay, he said. Thank you. Victoria made the call. Even at 10 p.m., her lawyer answered on the second ring. That's what money bought access. She explained the situation in clipped, precise sentences, while Ryan sat frozen, trying to process that this was his life now. Custody battles, anonymous accusations, his daughter's future in the hands of strangers. They'll file a response first thing tomorrow morning, Victoria said after hanging up. They'll demand to know who filed the petition. Judges don't like anonymous accusations in custody cases. And they'll submit character references, testimony from Mrs. Chen, from Mia's teachers, from Che. From you. Victoria met his eyes. If you'll let me. If you think it'll help. You barely know us. I know you're the best father I've ever seen. I know Mia is loved and safe and thriving. That's enough. Ryan's phone rang. Unknown number. He answered without thinking. Hello. Hello, Ryan. Damien's voice was smooth as silk. Get my gift. Ryan's hand clenched around the phone. You son of a... Careful. That's the kind of temper that concerns child services. You wouldn't want anyone thinking you're unstable. I'm going to destroy you. With what? Your 3 jobs and mountain of debt. Damien laughed. You're nobody, Ryan. A struggling widower who got in over his head. No judge will believe you can provide stability when you can barely keep the lights on. I love my daughter. Love doesn't pay bills. Love doesn't erase the fact that you're working yourself to death while Mia spends her evenings with a neighbor who's 73 years old with a heart condition. Ryan's blood ran cold. How do you know about Mrs. Chen's heart condition? I know everything. I know her last hospitalization was 6 months ago. I know she's on blood thinners. I know that leaving your daughter with someone who could have a medical emergency at any moment is criminally negligent. You're twisting everything. I'm revealing the truth. And here's more truth. Withdraw Victoria's testimony against me. Tell the prosecutor she was lying. Make it go away. Damien's voice hardened. Or I make Mia go away. Foster care. State custody. You'll see her twice a year under supervised visitation while I plant her with a family that doesn't have your complications. The line went dead. Ryan stood there, phone in hand, the world spinning around him. Victoria was watching him with terrified eyes. What did he say? He wants me to recant your testimony, to say you lied about everything. And if you don't, he takes Mia. Ryan's voice broke. He actually said he'd put her in foster care, like she's a chess piece, like she's not a human being. Victoria crossed to him, took his face in her hands. He's bluffing. He can't actually do that. Can't he? He's engaged to Patricia Wellington's daughter. He has money connections, lawyers. Ryan pulled away. What do I have? A dead wife crushing debt and a fake marriage to a woman I've known for 48 hours. It's not fake anymore. We decided wrong. Ryan turned to face her. This isn't going to work, Victoria. You and me, it was a fantasy. A desperate attempt to feel something good in the middle of chaos. But reality doesn't care about feelings. Reality is custody petitions and anonymous accusations, and the fact that every single thing Damien said about me is true. You're not unfit. I work 3 jobs. I leave my daughter with an elderly neighbor with a heart condition. I introduced her to a stranger and let her start calling that stranger a friend when I knew it was temporary. His voice rose. I'm exactly as unfit as Damien says I am. Stop it. You should go before you get pulled deeper into this mess. Ryan, don't do this. Go, Victoria, please, before I ruin your life the way I've ruined everything else. Victoria stood there, tears streaming down her face. Then she grabbed her purse and walked to the door. She stopped with her hand on the knob. You're wrong, you know, about being unfit, about ruining things. She didn't turn around. Emma would be proud of how you've kept going, how you've loved Mia, how you've survived. Her voice cracked. And for what it's worth, I'm proud of you too. Then she left. Ryan stood in his empty apartment, the custody papers on the coffee table, and let himself fall apart. He woke to Mia shaking his shoulder. Daddy, why are you sleeping on the couch? Ryan blinked. Sunlight was streaming through the windows. His neck ached from the awkward angle. The custody papers were still spread across the table where Mia could see them. He swept them up quickly. Just fell asleep watching TV. What time is it? 7:30. I'm going to be late for school. Ryan scrambled up, his mind foggy. He'd barely slept 3 hours. Okay, baby, go get dressed. I'll make breakfast. Mia didn't move. Daddy, what were those papers? Nothing, just work stuff. They had my name on them. I saw it. Mia Cooper. Ryan's heart stopped. You saw that? I can read, Daddy. I'm in 2nd grade. Mia's voice was small. Am I in trouble? No, baby, never. You're not in trouble. Then why does someone have papers about me? Ryan knelt down to her level. This was it, the moment he'd been dreading. He could lie, protect her, keep her innocent a little longer. Or he could tell her the truth and trust that she was strong enough to handle it. Someone said some untrue things about our family, about how I take care of you, and now some people need to check to make sure you're okay. Mia's eyes widened. Are they going to take me away? No, never. I promise. But Mommy promised she'd come home from the hospital and she didn't. Mia was crying now. What if you promise and it's not true? Ryan pulled her into his arms. Listen to me. I am not going to let anyone take you away, not ever. You are my whole world, Mia, my whole world, and I will fight anyone who tries to hurt our family. Even bad guys. Especially bad guys. Is Victoria a bad guy? The question caught Ryan off guard. What? No. Why would you think that? Because she came, and then the papers came, and you look sad when you talk about her. Mia pulled back. Like you looked when Mommy died. Ryan's throat tightened. Victoria is trying to help us, baby. She's one of the good guys. Then why did she leave? Because I asked her to. I thought it was safer. Safer for who? For everyone. Mia studied him with those 2 old eyes. That's dumb, Daddy. Good guys are supposed to stick together. That's what you always tell me. She was right. She was absolutely right. Ryan called in sick to work. Again. He was probably going to get fired. He didn't care. He dropped Mia at school, promised her everything would be okay, and drove to Victoria's office building. He'd never been inside before. The lobby was all glass and steel, and people in suits who looked at him like he was lost. The security guard stopped him at the elevator bank. I need to see Victoria Langford, Ryan said. Do you have an appointment? No, but... Then I can't let you up. Ms. Langford's schedule is completely booked. Please. Tell her Ryan Cooper is here. She'll see me. The guard looked skeptical, but picked up his phone, spoke quietly. His expression shifted to surprise. 23rd floor. She'll meet you in the lobby up there. The elevator ride took forever. Ryan's reflection in the mirrored walls showed a man who looked 10 years older than he had 3 days ago. Exhausted, desperate, barely holding together. The elevator doors opened. Victoria was waiting. She looked just as exhausted. Same clothes from last night, eyes red from crying. "You came," she said. "I shouldn't have asked you to leave. You were protecting your daughter. I was being a coward." Ryan stepped closer. "You were right. What Mia said this morning reminded me good guys stick together. And you're one of the good guys, Victoria." "Am I, because I feel like I've destroyed your life?" "You didn't. Damien did. And we're going to stop him." "How?" "I don't know yet. But I know I can't do it alone. I need you." Ryan took her hands. "Not because you have lawyers or money or connections. Because you see me. The real me. And you haven't run away." "I tried to run away last night. But you're still here this morning." Victoria laughed through tears. "I'm still here? Then let's fight. Together." They went to her office. Her assistant looked shocked to see Ryan, but didn't comment. Victoria closed the door, locked it, and pulled out her phone. "I've been working on something," she said. "I couldn't sleep last night, so I started digging into Damien's finances, looking for anything we could use. And I found something. 6 months ago, right after I reported him for insider trading, he transferred $2 million to an offshore account. The prosecutors know about it, but can't prove it's connected to the fraud charges." Victoria pulled up documents on her computer. "But I kept digging. That offshore account, it's linked to a shell corporation. And that shell corporation paid Marcus Reynolds, the lawyer who filed your custody petition, $50,000 3 days ago." Ryan stared at the screen. "Damien paid his own lawyer to go after me." "He didn't just pay him, he created a paper trail. If we can prove that Damien orchestrated this custody claim, that he paid someone to file false accusations, he's looking at witness intimidation charges on top of everything else." "How do we prove it?" "We need access to Damien's financial records. Real access, not just what I can find online." Victoria met his eyes. "Which means we need someone with subpoena power." "The prosecutors." "Exactly. If they reopen the investigation, include these new charges, they can compel Damien's banks to turn over everything." "Will they do it?" "For witness intimidation against a 7-year-old? Yes, they'll do it." Victoria started making calls. 2 hours later, they were sitting in the office of Assistant State's Attorney Jennifer Morrison, a woman in her 40s with sharp eyes and a reputation for destroying white-collar criminals. Morrison listened to their story without interrupting. Reviewed the custody papers, the financial documents, the timeline of events. When they finished, she leaned back in her chair. "This is good, really good, but I need more." "More than evidence of witness intimidation?" Victoria asked. "I need proof of intent. Proof that Damien specifically targeted Ryan's custody of his daughter to silence you. Right now I have suspicious timing and a financial connection. That's not enough for a jury." "What would be enough?" Ryan asked. Morrison smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. "A confession. Get me a recording of Damien admitting what he did and why. Get me that and I'll bury him." "How are we supposed to get him to confess?" Victoria asked. "That's your problem. But if you can solve it, I guarantee he'll spend the next 10 years in federal prison." Morrison stood. "You have 48 hours. After that, the custody hearing proceeds and I can't help you." They left the prosecutor's office in silence, got into Victoria's car, sat there. "A confession," Ryan said finally. "She wants us to get Damien to confess. On tape, while knowing we're recording him. He's too smart for that." "Maybe." Victoria started the car. "Or maybe we make him so angry he stops being smart." "How?" "By giving him exactly what he wants." Victoria pulled into traffic. "By telling him he won." Ryan's phone rang that evening. Unknown number again. He answered. Hello, Damien. Ryan. Good. I was hoping we'd talk again before the hearing. Damien sounded pleased. Have you reconsidered my offer? I have, and I want to make a deal. Silence. Then, I'm listening. Victoria withdraws her testimony, tells the prosecutors she made a mistake, that she was emotional and vindictive, and none of it was true. And in exchange, you withdraw the custody petition. Tonight, we both walk away. Why would I trust you? Because I'm desperate, because I love my daughter more than I hate you, because you were right, I'm nobody. I can't fight you. I can't win. All I can do is protect Mia. Ryan let his voice break. Please, take the deal. Let me keep my daughter. More silence. Ryan could hear Damien thinking, calculating, trying to find the trap. I want Victoria to call the prosecutor herself. I want to hear her recant. Fine. Come to my apartment tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. She'll do it in person. You can witness it. Why your apartment? Because I don't trust you not to record this. At my apartment on my territory, I know we're not being recorded. Ryan paused. Unless you'd rather do this somewhere public where anyone could be listening. Damien laughed. You're learning. Fine. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. And Ryan. If this is a trick, if Victoria doesn't recant, I won't just take Mia. I'll make sure you never see her again. Not visits, not calls, nothing. Do you understand? I understand. Ryan hung up. Victoria was sitting across from him, her face pale. Did he buy it? He bought it. He's coming tomorrow morning. Then we'd better be ready. They spent the night preparing. Jennifer Morrison sent over recording equipment, professional grade, impossible to detect without a full sweep. Victoria's lawyers drafted emergency motions. Mrs. Chen agreed to keep Mia overnight, away from whatever was about to happen. At midnight, Victoria and Ryan sat in his living room, exhausted but wired. What if this doesn't work? Victoria asked quietly. Then we fight in court. We present character witnesses. We pray the judge sees through Damien's lies. And if the judge doesn't? Ryan didn't answer. He couldn't think about that possibility. Couldn't imagine a world where Mia was taken from him. Victoria moved closer. Ryan, I need to tell you something. Before tomorrow. Before everything potentially falls apart. Okay? I meant what I said. About us. About making this real. She took his hand. I know it's fast. I know it's crazy. I know we're in the middle of a war, and neither of us is thinking clearly. But somewhere in the last 3 days, I fell in love with you. Ryan's breath caught. You don't have to say it back. Victoria continued quickly. I just needed you to know. Because if tomorrow goes wrong, if Damien wins, if I never see you again, I needed you to know that this was real for me, that you changed my life. Ryan pulled her close. I love you too. I don't know how it happened or when exactly. Maybe it was when you grabbed my tie and kissed me. Maybe it was when you met Mia and didn't run away. Maybe it was when you decided to fight for us, even though you barely knew us. He kissed her forehead. But it's real. And it's terrifying. And I wouldn't change any of it. They fell asleep on the couch, holding each other, waiting for morning. The knock came at exactly 9 a.m. Ryan answered the door. Damien stood there looking relaxed and confident. He stepped inside without waiting for an invitation. Where's Victoria? Kitchen, coffee. This isn't a social call. Once Victoria appeared. She looked defeated, broken. Oscar-worthy performance. Hello, Damien. Victoria, are you ready to make your call? I am, but I want something first. Damien's eyes narrowed. We had a deal. I want to know why. Why you did this. Why you couldn't just let me go. Victoria's voice was raw. I gave you everything. Partnership. Trust. Years of my life. And you betrayed me. You stole from the company. You put patience at risk, and when I stopped you, you declared war. You ruined my life. I told the truth. That's all I did, and you've spent 6 months trying to destroy me for it." She stepped closer. "But going after Ryan, after Mia, that's not about me. That's about power, control, about proving you can hurt anyone who crosses you." "I'm protecting my future," Damien said coldly. "Patricia Wellington needs to see you for what you are: unstable, vindictive, unreliable. This marriage proves it. You couldn't find someone in your own world, so you hired some desperate widower to play house." "I didn't hire him. I fell in love with him." "Please, you don't know how to love. You only know how to win." Damien smiled. "But you can't win this time. Because I have the money, the connections, the power. I always did. You were just too arrogant to see it." "You're right," Victoria said quietly. "I was arrogant. I thought doing the right thing mattered, that telling the truth would protect me. But you've shown me the truth doesn't matter. Only power matters, and you have all the power. Finally, you understand. So I'll make the call. I'll tell the prosecutors I lied. I'll destroy my own credibility, and you'll withdraw the custody petition and leave us alone." "That depends." "On what?" "On whether you've learned your lesson. Whether you understand that crossing me has consequences." Damien moved closer to her. "Say it. Say you were wrong to report me. Say I was right about everything." This was it, the moment they needed. Victoria looked at Ryan. Something passed between them. Trust, love, partnership. "You were right about one thing," Victoria said. "You do have power. You have money and connections, and lawyers who'll do anything you ask. But you know what you don't have." "What, ma?" "Evidence that any of this will work. Because Ryan and I aren't backing down. We're not recanting. We're not giving you what you want." Victoria pulled a small recording device from her pocket. "And we're definitely not going to let you threaten a 7-year-old girl without consequences." Damien's face went from confident to confused to furious in 3 seconds. "You recorded this, that's illegal." Illinois is a one-party consent state. Ryan consented. And you just confessed to witness intimidation, filing false custody claims, and trying to manipulate a federal investigation. Victoria smiled. "The prosecutor is going to love this." Damien lunged at her. Ryan stepped between them, caught Damien's arm, twisted it behind his back. 3 years of carrying Mia had made him stronger than he looked. "Don't touch her," Ryan said quietly. "Don't ever touch her again. You're both going to regret this. No, you're going to regret this for the next 10 years, in a federal prison." Ryan shoved him toward the door. "Get out, before I call the police and add assault to your charges." Damien left his face purple with rage, shouting threats that echoed down the hallway. When the door closed, Ryan and Victoria stood in silence. Then Victoria started laughing. Hysterical, relieved laughter that turned into tears. "We did it," she gasped. "We actually did it." "We did it," Ryan agreed, pulling her close. His phone rang. Jennifer Morrison. "Tell me you got it," she said without preamble. "We got it. Full confession. He admitted everything." "Send it to me now. I'm filing charges within the hour." Morrison paused. "You two did good work. Damien Cross is finished." After she hung up, Ryan and Victoria collapsed on the couch. The adrenaline was fading, leaving them exhausted and shaking. "What happens now?" Victoria asked. "Now I go pick up Mia. Tell her everything's okay. Try to explain why her father lost his mind for 3 days. And us." Ryan turned to face her. "What do you want to happen with us?" "I want to try. For real this time. Not fake marriage. Not strategic partnership. Real dating. Real relationship. Real messy, complicated life together. Even though we barely know each other. We know the important things. We know we fight for each other. We know we're stronger together. We know love can grow from chaos. Victoria smiled. That's enough to start with. Ryan kissed her, slow and sweet and full of promise. Okay, he said. Let's try. Let's build something real. Together. Together. Ryan picked up Mia at noon. She ran to him the moment she saw him wrapping her arms around his waist so tightly he could barely breathe. Is it over? She asked into his chest. Are the bad guys gone? The bad guys are gone, baby. We're safe. Promise. I promise. For real this time. Mrs. Chen was watching from the doorway, dabbing her eyes with a tissue. You did good, Ryan. Emma would be proud. Ryan's throat tightened. Thank you. For everything. For taking care of her. For believing in us. Family takes care of family. Mrs. Chen patted his cheek. Now go. Take your daughter home. Start living again. In the car, Mia was unusually quiet. She kept glancing at Ryan, then looking away, then glancing back. What is it, baby? Ryan asked. Is Victoria coming over? I don't know. Maybe. Why? Because I like her. She was nice to me when I was sick. She didn't treat me like a baby. Mia picked at her seatbelt. But I don't want you to be sad if she leaves like Mommy did. Ryan pulled over, turned in his seat to face his daughter. Mia, listen to me. What happened with Mommy, that was an accident. A terrible accident that no one could have stopped. Victoria isn't going anywhere. Not unless she chooses to. And I don't think she's going to choose that. How do you know? Because she fought for us. When bad people tried to hurt our family, Victoria stood up and helped us fight back. That's not what someone does if they're planning to leave. Mia considered this. Do you love her? The question hung in the air between them. Ryan could lie, could say it was complicated, could protect Mia from the messy reality of adults falling in love too fast in the middle of chaos. Or he could tell her the truth. Yes, he said. I do love her. I know it's fast. I know it's confusing. But yes. Is it okay that you love her? Even though you loved Mommy? Oh, baby. Ryan unbuckled and pulled Mia into his arms. Loving Victoria doesn't mean I stopped loving Mommy. Love doesn't work like that. You can love more than one person. Your heart doesn't have a limit. So you still love Mommy and also love Victoria. Exactly. And I love you most of all. You're my number one. Always. Mia was quiet for a moment. Then, can I love Victoria too? Or is that wrong? That's not wrong at all. If you want to love Victoria, you should. If you want to take your time, that's okay too. There's no right answer, baby. Just what feels true for you. Okay. I think I want to love her. But slowly, like getting used to a new food. Ryan laughed despite himself. That's perfect. Loving Victoria like getting used to a new food. Can we go home now? I'm hungry. They went home. Victoria showed up an hour later carrying takeout from the Thai place 3 blocks away, Mia's favorite. I thought you might not want to cook, Victoria said, holding up the bags. I also thought Mia might want to celebrate not having to talk to social workers. Mia looked at Ryan. He nodded. Pad Thai? Mia asked hopefully. Extra peanuts, no spice. The lady at the restaurant remembered you from when your dad orders. You talked to them about me. I wanted to make sure I got your order right. Victoria knelt down to Mia's level. Is it okay that I'm here? Your dad said you might want some space after everything that happened. Mia studied her seriously. Are you going to keep coming over? If your dad and you want me to, yes. What if I want you to, but then I change my mind? Then you tell me and I'll give you space. No hard feelings. You're allowed to change your mind, Mia. About anything. Okay. Mia reached for the takeout bags. You can stay, but you have to eat with us. Not just watch. Victoria smiled. Deal. They ate at the small kitchen table, the 3 of them crowded around plates of Thai food. Mia talked about school, about her science project on planets, about how her friend Sophie thought Ryan was cool because he let Mia stay up late sometimes. Victoria listened like Mia was the most interesting person in the world, asked questions, laughed at the right moments, didn't try too hard. Ryan watched them together and felt something crack open in his chest. Not breaking, opening. Like a door he'd kept locked for 3 years, finally swinging wide. After dinner, Mia went to her room to finish homework. Ryan and Victoria cleaned up in comfortable silence. "She's testing me," Victoria said, rinsing plates. "What?" "Mia, she's testing to see if I'll stay, if I'm consistent, if I'm real." Victoria handed him a plate to dry. "My therapist says kids who've lost a parent do that. Push boundaries to see who leaves and who stays." "You're seeing a therapist?" "As of 3 days ago, emergency sessions. My lawyer recommended someone who specializes in trauma and relationship dysfunction." Victoria smiled grimly. "Turns out being stalked by your ex and falling in love with a stranger in 48 hours is textbook trauma response." "Is that what we are? A trauma response?" "The therapist says maybe. But maybe doesn't mean it's not real. It just means we need to be careful, go slow. Make sure we're building something healthy instead of just clinging to each other because we're both drowning." Ryan set down the plate. "Are you drowning?" "A little." "Are you?" "A little." They looked at each other. "So what do we do?" Ryan asked. "We go slow. We date properly. We let Mia set the pace." Victoria moved closer. "And we stop pretending this is normal, because it's not. It's messy and complicated and probably a terrible idea. But I don't want to let go, not yet. Not until we've tried." Ryan kissed her, soft and careful and full of promise. From the hallway, Mia made a gagging sound. "Gross. Do you have to do that where I can see?" They broke apart laughing. "Sorry, baby," Ryan said. "We'll try to be less gross." "You're really bad at it." Mia climbed onto the couch. "Victoria, can I ask you something?" "Anything." "If you marry my dad for real, do I have to call you Mom?" The question hit like a sledgehammer. Victoria looked at Ryan, panicked. He was equally lost. Victoria started. "I don't know, Mia. What do you want to call me?" "I don't know either. Mom feels wrong because that's mommy. But calling you Victoria feels weird if you're family." Mia frowned. "Maybe I could call you Vic, like a nickname." "I love that." Victoria said, her voice thick. "Vic is perfect." "Okay, Vic." Mia tested it out. "Vic, can you help me with my math homework? Daddy's bad at fractions." "I'm not bad at fractions." "You are, Daddy. You always get confused about the denominator." Victoria laughed and followed Mia to the kitchen table. Ryan watched them work through multiplication problems. Victoria explaining patiently while Mia asked 100 questions. This could be his life. This domesticity. This family. If he was brave enough to reach for it. The custody case was dismissed 2 days later. The judge took one look at the recording at Damien's confession at the timeline of harassment and threw it out with a sharp rebuke to Marcus Reynolds for filing frivolous claims. Reynolds lost his license to practice law. Damien was arrested the same day. Patricia Wellington called Ryan personally. "I owe you an apology," she said without preamble. "I brought that man into my daughter's life, into your life. I should have seen what he was. You couldn't have known. I should have. I've been in business 40 years. I've seen every kind of predator. But I was blinded by the idea of Claire being happy." Patricia's voice was heavy. "Thank you. For protecting her. For showing us who Damien really was before it was too late." "How is Claire?" "Devastated, angry, heartbroken, but also relieved, I think. She said yesterday that some part of her always knew something was wrong. She just didn't want to see it." Patricia paused. "The merger proceeds as planned. I wanted you to know that. What happened with Damien doesn't change my faith in Victoria or in Langford Pharmaceuticals. Thank you. And Ryan. Take care of each other. You and Victoria. You've both earned something good after all this chaos. The merger was finalized 3 weeks later. $3 billion. 5,000 jobs saved. 40,000 patients with continued access to life-saving medications. Victoria stood at the signing, surrounded by lawyers and executives and board members, and thought about her mother. About the disease that had killed her. About the 16-year-old girl who'd watched her mother die and promised to make it mean something. It meant something now. After the signing, after the champagne and congratulations and press releases, Victoria drove to Ryan's apartment. It was 8 p.m. Mia would be asleep soon. Ryan answered the door in sweatpants and an old t-shirt. He looked exhausted and perfect. I did it, Victoria said. The merger's done. It's over. How do you feel? Terrified, relieved, empty. Like I just ran a marathon and crossed the finish line, and now I don't know what to do with myself. Ryan pulled her inside. You rest, you celebrate. You remember that you just saved 5,000 jobs and 40,000 lives. I couldn't have done it without you. Yes, you could have. You're the strongest person I know. I'm really not. I'm barely holding together. That's what strong looks like. Barely holding together but still moving forward. Victoria collapsed on the couch. I don't want to go back to my penthouse tonight. It's so empty, so cold. Then stay here. Where would I sleep? The couch. Mia's room if she'll share. My bed if... Ryan stopped. Sorry, that was presumptuous. Your bed, Victoria said quietly, if the offer stands. They put Mia to bed together. Victoria read her a story about dragons and knights. Mia fell asleep halfway through, her hand clutched around Victoria's finger. She trusts you, Ryan whispered as they tiptoed out. I'm terrified of breaking that trust. You won't, not if you keep showing up. In Ryan's bedroom, Victoria borrowed a t-shirt and sweatpants. They lay in bed, not touching at first, both hyper-aware of the significance. This is the first time I've shared a bed with someone since Emma, Ryan said into the darkness. We don't have to. I want to. I'm just telling you. So you know. Victoria rolled to face him. I've never shared a bed with anyone. Not for sleeping. I've had relationships, but I always went home after. I couldn't stand the vulnerability of actually sleeping next to someone. And now I don't want to leave. Ryan pulled her close. She tucked her head under his chin. They fell asleep like that, holding each other like anchors. Victoria woke to Mia standing beside the bed, staring at them. Good morning, Mia said cheerfully. Are you guys married for real now? Ryan sat up, disoriented. What time is it? 7. I'm hungry. Can Vic make pancakes? You burn them. I don't know if Vic knows how to make pancakes. I make excellent pancakes, Victoria said, climbing out of bed. Challenge accepted, Mia. In the kitchen, Victoria and Mia worked together while Ryan made coffee. The pancakes were perfect. Mia declared Victoria the winner of the pancake competition, and Ryan a good try participant. This feels normal, Ryan said as they ate. It does. Victoria agreed. Weird, right? 3 weeks ago we didn't know each other. Now we're eating pancakes like a real family. Are we a real family? Mia asked. Victoria and Ryan exchanged glances. We're becoming one, Victoria said carefully. Families are built, Mia, not just born. Your dad and I are building something together. With you. It takes time. How much time? I don't know, however long it takes. Okay. Can I have more pancakes? Over the next 2 months, they built a routine. Victoria came over 3 nights a week. She and Mia did homework together. She and Ryan cooked dinner. She stayed in his bed, holding him through nightmares, letting him hold her through panic attacks. They went on actual dates, movies and restaurants and long walks by the lake. They learned each other slowly. Victoria discovered that Ryan sang in the shower and cried during animated movies. Ryan discovered that Victoria was terrified of thunderstorms and collected vintage medical textbooks. They fought sometimes, about money, about time, about Victoria's tendency to work 18-hour days and Ryan's refusal to accept help with bills. But they learned to fight fair, to listen, to apologize when they were wrong. Mia thrived. Her teacher called Ryan to say Mia seemed happier, more confident. At the science fair, she won first place with a project about pharmaceutical development. She thanked my dad and my Vic in her acceptance speech. Victoria cried for an hour after. She called me her Vic, Victoria said into Ryan's shoulder. Like I belong to her, like I'm hers. You are hers, Ryan said. If you want to be. I want to be. God, I want to be. 6 months after the gala, Patricia Wellington hosted a small dinner party. Just family. She included Ryan, Victoria, and Mia in the invitation. Claire was there looking healthier than she had after the Damien disaster. She hugged Victoria tightly. "Thank you," Claire whispered, "for saving me from him. I was so angry at first, but now I understand. You saved my life." "You would have figured it out eventually," Victoria said. "Maybe, but maybe too late. Maybe after I'd married him, had kids with him." Claire pulled back. "You gave me a second chance. I won't waste it." During dinner, James Wellington stood to make a toast. "To family," he said. "Not the family we're born into, but the family we choose. The people who show up when it matters, who fight for us, who love us even when we're difficult." He looked at Ryan and Victoria. "Thank you for showing our daughter what real love looks like, what real partnership means. You saved more than just her. You saved our family." Ryan felt Victoria's hand find his under the table. After dinner, Patricia pulled them aside. "I have a proposition," she said. "Wellington Industries wants to expand our pharmaceutical partnerships. I'd like Langford to be our flagship investment. But more than that," she looked at Victoria, "I'd like you to join our board. Help us transform how we think about healthcare investing." Victoria's eyes widened. "That's Patricia, that's an incredible honor. It's self-interest. You're brilliant and ethical, and you make me want to do better." Patricia smiled. "Say yes. Help us change the world." "Yes, God, yes. Of course, yes." Ryan watched Victoria glow with pride and possibility. This was the woman he'd fallen in love with. The woman who changed lives. Who fought for what mattered. And somehow, impossibly, she'd chosen him. On their way home, Mia asleep in the back seat, Ryan reached for Victoria's hand. "Move in with us," he said. Victoria nearly drove off the road. "What?" "Move in, officially. Stop pretending you don't already live there half the time anyway. Ryan, your apartment is 1,000 square feet. Then we'll find something bigger. Together. The three of us." Ryan squeezed her hand. "I'm tired of goodbyes. I'm tired of you leaving in the morning because it's too soon or too fast. I want to wake up with you every day. I want Mia to have you every day. I want us to be a real family." "We are a real family." "Then let's make it official. Let's stop holding back. Let's choose this. Fully. Completely." Victoria pulled into the apartment parking lot, killed the engine. Turned to face him with tears streaming down her face. "I'm scared," she admitted. "I'm so scared of messing this up. Of disappointing you. Of failing Mia." "You won't." "How do you know?" "Because you love us. And love is enough. It's not perfect. It's not easy. But it's enough." Victoria leaned across the console and kissed him, deep and desperate and full of promise. "Okay," she whispered. "Let's do it. Let's build a life together." They moved into a new apartment 2 months later. 3 bedrooms. Enough space for Mia's growing collection of science books and Victoria's work-from-home setup and Ryan's attempt at a home office. Mia got to pick the paint color for her room. She chose purple with glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling. "So I can think about Mommy at night," she explained. "She's in the stars now. That's what Daddy says." Victoria hung a photo of Emma in Mia's room, next to photos of the three of them at the zoo at the museum at Mia's science fair. "She's part of our family too," Victoria said. "She always will be." Ryan found her crying in the kitchen later that night. "What's wrong?" he asked. "Nothing's wrong. Everything's right. That's what scares me." Victoria wiped her eyes. "I keep waiting for it to fall apart. For you to realize I'm too broken. For Mia to decide she doesn't want me after all. For something to go wrong." "Victoria, look at me." Ryan took her face in his hands. "Things will go wrong. We'll fight. We'll hurt each other. We'll make mistakes. That's what real love is. It's not perfect. It's not a fairy tale. It's choosing each other even when it's hard. I don't know how to do that. How to stay when it's hard. You learn. We both learn. Together." 1 year after the gala, Ryan and Victoria got married for real. Not a big wedding. Just family and close friends in Patricia Wellington's garden. Mia was the flower girl taking her job incredibly seriously. Victoria wore a simple white dress. Ryan wore the same blazer from Emma's funeral, but this time it didn't feel like grief. It felt like hope. Mrs. Chen officiated, having gotten ordained online specifically for this purpose. She cried through the entire ceremony. The vows were honest. Ryan promised to let Victoria work late when it mattered, and drag her home when it didn't, to remind her she was human, to love her on the days she couldn't love herself. Victoria promised to try being a wife, a stepmother, a partner, to try trusting someone with her heart, to try building a life that was about more than just success, to stay even when it was hard. Mia interrupted to add her own promise. "I promise to love you both even when you're being gross, and to tell you when I need space, and to remember that families are built, not born." There wasn't a dry eye in the garden. At the reception, James Wellington pulled Ryan aside. "You know what I respect most about you?" James asked. "What?" "You could have walked away. 100 times during this whole mess you could have walked away. But you didn't. You stayed. You fought. You chose love even when it was dangerous." James raised his glass. "That's the mark of a good man." "I didn't feel good. I felt terrified most of the time." Courage isn't not being afraid. It's being afraid and doing it anyway. James clinked his glass against Ryan's. "Welcome to the family." Patricia danced with Mia, both of them laughing. Claire cornered Victoria to thank her again for saving her from Damien. The lawyers who'd helped with the custody case showed up with gifts. Jennifer Morrison brought her wife and told Ryan she'd never seen a case turn around so spectacularly. As the sun set, Ryan found Victoria standing alone watching the celebration. "Happy?" he asked. "Terrified? Overwhelmed? Grateful? Happy?" Victoria leaned into him. "All of it at once. That's what love feels like, I think. All of it at once." They danced together as the stars came out. Mia joined them halfway through, wedging between them, like she always did. "This is my favorite day," Mia announced. "Better than Christmas. Better than my birthday. Better than everything." "Mine too, baby," Ryan said. "Mine 3, Victoria added. They stood together in the garden, the three of them holding each other. A family built from chaos and choice and courage. A family that shouldn't have worked, but did. A family that chose each other every single day. 2 years later, Victoria stood in the National Press Club, accepting an award for pharmaceutical innovation. Mia sat in the front row between Ryan and Patricia Wellington. At 9 years old, Mia understood now what Victoria's work meant. How many lives she saved. How many families stayed whole because of medications her company developed. In her acceptance speech, Victoria said, "I used to think success meant never needing help, never showing weakness, never letting anyone see me struggle. Then I met a man who taught me that needing someone isn't weakness. It's human. And I met a little girl who taught me that families aren't defined by blood. They're defined by choice, by showing up, by staying. She looked at Ryan and Mia. I spent 34 years building walls to keep people out. Then in one desperate moment, I grabbed a stranger's tie and kissed him, asked him to be my husband for one day, and somehow miraculously, that one day turned into forever. Ryan was crying. Mia was beaming. Patricia was applauding loudly enough to drown out everyone else. After the ceremony, reporters swarmed Victoria with questions about the company, the merger future innovations. But Victoria cut through the crowd to her family. "Ready to go home?" she asked. "Always," Ryan said. Mia grabbed both their hands. "Can we get ice cream on the way?" "Absolutely. What's the point of winning awards if you can't celebrate with ice cream?" They walked out of the National Press Club together, hand in hand into a future they'd built from nothing but courage and choice and impossible love. They'd started with one desperate kiss in a hotel lobby, with lies and strategy and survival. But somewhere along the way, they'd found something real. Something worth fighting for. Something worth staying for. And they stayed, through fights and fear and overwhelming love. Through Mia's teenage years and Victoria's continued success, and Ryan's decision to go back to school for his MBA. Through Victoria's father's anniversary, when she cried for hours, and Ryan just held her. Through the day, Mia called Victoria Mom, for the first time by accident, and then by choice. Through building a family that looked nothing like what either of them expected, but was perfect anyway. Because that's what real families do. They stay. They choose each other. They build something beautiful from broken pieces. And they never stop being grateful for the desperate moment that brought them together, for the fake marriage that became the most real thing either of them had ever known.